Welcome to another reading of 1001 Nights. My name is Saman Giraud, and the little pet you saw running away from the limelight is my little cat Butt. I don't know how you're feeling, but in Vienna we had nearly 15 degrees today, so I'm in a really good mood because I do love the sun. Let's get back to our favorite stories of 1001 Nights. For those of you who didn't tune in the last time or the time before, it's just to keep it really short, it's a love story about Ali Shah and Queen Zumurrud, who used to be a slave, by the way. She was hijacked by two nasty men, two brothers, and they abused her really badly. So now she's the queen and she's seeking her brutal revenge. I just get comfortable. Up. All right, enjoy the reading, everyone. Now, when it was the 321st night, she said, "It hath reached me, auspicious king, that Barsoum replied, Pardon, O king of the age. Thou art right as regards the table, for thy slave is indeed a Nazarene." Whereupon all present, gentle and simple, wondered at the king's skill in hitting upon the truth by geomancy, and said, "Verily this king is a diviner, whose like there is not in the world." Thereupon Queen Zumurrud bade flay the Nazarene and stuff his skin with straw and hang it over the gate of the race course. Moreover, she commanded to dig a pit without the city and burn therein his flesh and bones and throw over his ashes offal and ordure. "We hear and obey," answered they, and did with him all she bade. And when the folk saw what had befallen the Christian, they said, "Serve him right." But what an unlucky mouthful was that for him. And another said, "Be the far one's wife divorced if this vow be broken, never again to the end of my days will I eat of sugared rice." And the hashish eater cried, "Praised be Allah, who spared me this fellow's fate by saving me from eating of that same rice." Then they all went out, holding it thenceforth unlawful to sit over against the dish of sweet rice as the Nazarene had sat. Now when the first day of the 3rd month came, they laid the tables according to custom, and covered them with dishes and chargers. And Queen Zumurrud came down and sat on her throne, with her guards in attendance, as of wont, in all of her dignity and majesty. Then the townsfolk entered as before, and went round about the tables, looking for the place of the dish of sweet rice, and quoth one to another, "Hark ye, O Haji Khala." And the other answered, "At thy service, O Haji Khalid." Said Khalid, "Avoid the dish of sweet rice, and look thou eat not thereof. For if thou do, by early morning thou wilt be hanged." Then they sat down to meat around the table. And as they were eating, Queen Zumurrud chanced to look from her throne and saw a man come running in through the gate of the horse course. And having considered him attentively, she knew him for Javan, the Kurdish thief who murdered the trooper. Now the cause of his coming was this. When he left his mother, he went to his comrades and said to them, "I did good business yesterday, for I slew a trooper and took his horse. Moreover, there fell to me last night a pair of saddlebags full of gold. and a young lady worth more than the money in pouch. And I have left all that with my mother in the cave." At this they rejoiced, and repaired to the cavern at nightfall, whilst Javan the Kurd walked in front and the rest behind, he wishing to bring them the booty of which he had boasted. But he found the place clean empty, and questioned his mother, who told him all that had befallen her. Whereupon he bit his hands for regret and exclaimed, "By Allah, I will assuredly make search for the harlot and take her wherever she is, though it be in the shell of a pistachio nut, and quench my malice on her." So he went forth in quest for her, and ceased not journeying from place to place till he came to Queen Zumurrud's city. On entering, he found the town deserted, and inquiring of some women whom he saw looking from the windows, they told him that it was the Sultan's custom to make a banquet for the people on the 1st of each month, and that all the lieges were bound to go and eat of it. Furthermore, the women directed him to the racing ground where the feast was spread. So he entered at a shuffling trot, and finding no place empty save that before the dish of sweet rice already noticed, took his seat right opposite it, and stretched out his hand towards the dish. Whereupon the folk cried out to him, saying, "O our brother, what wouldst thou do?" Quoth he, "I would eat my fill of this dish." Rejoined one of the people, "If thou eat of it, thou wilt assuredly find thyself hanged tomorrow morning." But Javan said, "Hold thy tongue, and talk not so unpleasantly." Then he stretched out his hand to the dish, and drew it to him. But it so chanced that the hashish eater of whom we have spoken was sitting by him, and when he saw him take the dish, the fumes of the hashish left his head, and he fled from his place and sat down afar off, saying, "I will have nothing to do with yonder dish." Then Javan the Kurd put out his hand, which was very like a raven's claws, scooped up therewith half the dishful, and drew out his Neve as it were a camel's hoof. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased to say her permitted say. Now when it was the 322nd night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Javan the Kurd drew his knee from the dish as it were a camel's hoof, and rolled the lump of rice in the palm of his hand till it was like a big orange, and threw it ravenously into his mouth, and it rolled down his gullet with a rumble like thunder, and the bottom of the deep dish appeared where said mouthful had been. Thereupon quoth to him one sitting by his side, "Praised be Allah for not making me meat between thy hands, for thou hast cleared the dish at a single mouthful." And quoth the hashish eater, "Let him eat. Methinks he hath a hanging face." Then, turning to Jawad, he added, "Eat, and Allah give thee small good of it." So Javan put out his hand again, and taking another mouthful, was rolling it in his palm like the first, when behold, the queen cried out to the guard, saying, "Bring me yonder man in haste, and let him not eat the mouthful in his hand." So they ran, and seizing him as he hung over the dish, brought him to her, and set him in her presence, whilst the people exulted over his mishap, and said one to the other, "Serve him right, for we warned him, but he would not take warning. Verily, this place is bound to be the death of whoso sitteth therein, and yonder rice bringeth doom to all who eat of it. Then said Queen Zumurrud to Jawan, What is thy name and trade, and wherefore comest thou to our city? Answered he, O our lord the Sultan, my name is Otman. I work as a gardener, and am come hither in quest of somewhat I have lost. Quoth Zumurrud, Here with a table of sand. So they brought it, and she took the pen and drawing a geomantic scheme, considered it a while, then raising her head exclaimed, Woe to thee, thou losel! How darest thou lie to kings? This sand telleth me that of a truth thy name is Jawan the Kurd, and that thou art by trade a robber, taking man's goods in the way of unright, and slaying those whom Allah hath forbidden to slay, save for just cause. And she cried out upon him, saying, O hog, tell me the truth of thy case, or I will cut off thy head on the spot. Now when he heard these words, he turned yellow, and his teeth chattered. Then, deeming that he might save himself by truth-telling, he replied, O king, thou sayest sooth, but I repent at thy hands henceforth, and turn to Allah Almighty. She answered, It were not lawful for me to leave a pest in the way of Muslims, and cried to her guards, Take him and skin him, and do with him as last month ye did by his like. They obeyed her commandment, and when the hashish eater saw the soldiers seize the man, he turned his back upon the dish of rice, saying, 'Tis a sin to present my face to thee. And after they had made an end of eating, they dispersed to their several homes, and Zumurrud returned to her palace and dismissed her attendants. Now when the fourth month came round, they went to the racecourse and made the banquet according to custom, and the folk sat awaiting leave to begin. Presently Queen Zumurrud entered, and sitting down on her throne, looked at the tables and saw that room for 4 people was left void before the dish of rice at which she wondered. Now as she was looking around, behold, she saw a man come trotting in at the gate of the horse course, and he stayed not till he stood over the food trays, and finding no room save before the dish of rice, took his seat there. She looked at him, and knowing him for the accursed Christian who called himself Rashid al-Din, said in her mind, How blessed is this device of the food, into whose toils this infidel hath fallen. Now the cause of his coming was extraordinary, and it was on this wise. When he returned from his travels, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased saying her permitted say. Now when it was the 323rd night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the accursed who had called himself Rashid al-Din returned from travel, his household informed him that Zumurrud was missing, and with her a pair of saddlebags full of money. On hearing which ill tidings, he rent his raiment and buffeted his face and plucked out his beard. Then he dispatched his brother Barsum in quest of her to lands adjoining, and when he was weary of awaiting news of him, he went forth himself to seek for him and for the girl, whenas fate led him to the city of Zumurrud. He entered it on the first day of the month, and finding the streets deserted and the shops shut, and women idling at the windows, he asked them the reason why. And they told him that the king made a banquet on the first of each month for the people, all of whom were bound to attend it, nor might any abide in his house or shop that day. And they directed him to the racing plain. So he betook himself thither, and found the people crowding about the food, and there was never a place for him save in front of the rice dish, now well known. Here then he sat, and put forth his hand to eat thereof, whereupon Zumurrud cried out to her guard, saying, "Bring me him who sitteth over against the dish of rice." So they knew him by what had before happened, and laid hands on him and brought him before Queen Zumurrud, who said to him, "Out on thee, what is thy name and trade, and what bringeth thee to our city?" Answered he, "O King of the age, my name is Rustam, and I have no occupation, for I am a poor dervish." Then said she to her attendants, "Bring me table of sand and pen of brass." So they brought her what she sought as of want. So they brought her what she sought as of want, and she took the pen and made the dots which formed the figure, and considered it a while. Then, raising her head to Rashid al-Din, she said, "O dog, how darest thou lie to kings? Thy name is Rashid al-Din, the Nazarene. Thou art outwardly a Muslim, but a Christian at heart, and thine occupation is to lay snares for the slave girls of the Muslims and make them captives. Speak the truth, or I will smite off thy head." He hesitated and stammered, then replied, "Thou sayest sooth, O King of the age." Whereupon she commanded to throw him down and give him 100 blows with a stick on each sole, and 1,000 stripes with a whip on his body, after which she bade flay him and stuff his skin with hearts of flax, and dig a pit without the city, wherein they should burn his corpse and cast on his ashes offal and ordure. They did as she bade them, and she gave the people leave to eat. So they ate, and when they had eaten their fill, they went their ways, while Queen Zumurrud returned to her palace, saying, "I thank Allah for solacing my heart of those who wronged me." Then she praised the Creator of the earth and the heavens and repeated these couplets. They ruled a while, and theirs was harsh tyrannic rule, but soon that rule went by as though it never were. If just, they had won justice, but they sinned, and so the world collected all its bane for them to bear. So died they, and their case's tongue declares aloud, "This is for that, so of the world your blaming spare." And when her verse was ended, she called to mind her lord Ali Shah, and wept flowing tears, but presently recovered herself and said, Haply Allah, who hath given mine enemies into my hand, will vouchsafe me the speedy return of my beloved. And she begged forgiveness of Allah, be he extolled and exalted. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. I like that story. Strong women. Hi, sweetie. Do you want to say hi? There's this button over there. All right, I hope you enjoyed the reading. I'm going to go and feed the cats as usual. Wherever you are in this world, stay strong, stay hopeful. Do things that you love and that bring you much joy. I went ice skating the other day. Can highly recommend it if you're in Vienna. In the meantime, I'm sending you much love, and as usual, remember to go inwards instead of outwards. I'll see you on Thursday, and Joanna will be reading tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Much love. See you soon. Bye.